about to chalk a harvest board. So what I've got here from Couture, it's Vivian, with my HARVEST stencils. And what I'm going to do is I've got them on a board that is a 2 by 4 by 8, and I had it cut at Home Depot so that I could lay these stencils on and chalk them for my front porch. So what I have is I'm going to use the bark paste, which is the brown, and I'm going to use the guava paste, which is kind of a orangey color, and I'm going to alternate the letters. So I'm going to show you what I do is I peel the transfer. I'll just pull this back a little so you can see what I'm doing. Turn this up. Okay, so you should be able to see the HA. So if I show you how I did the H, I got one ready. You peel the transfer. It's a high quality silk screen transfer. We lay it on our fuzzing mat and we just peel it, lay it down and then peel it off. Do that a couple times just to defuzz or fuzz so that it's going to come off easier. And then I am going to just overlap mine slightly on my board because I noticed, so I'm about maybe half to quarter inch overlapping, just because I noticed that when I laid them out across this whole board, it was right to the end. So I understand from my upline Joanne that if we give a little more space on each side of the letters, so if I had just a slightly wider board, maybe a 6-inch width would be better. So I've got 2 this way. I could go down to 1-inch pine is what she tends to use. I bought the treated board, so you can see here it's quite thick, and thinking it was going to be outside, but some of my upline use pine, so I could try that for next time. So we also label these backing sheets. So with each one we do, take a Sharpie, and on the side that's not shiny, so when I pulled off the A, it was on the shiny side. That's the side you want to stick it back to so it'll come off easy. So I'm just going to put on the back here, Harvest, and then just put the letter H so that I know that that's what goes on that piece of paper. And then this one, shiny side down, and I'm going to write Harvest, and it's the letter A is next. So this is important to do. You can do this before you do your chalking, or in this case I'm just doing them as I go. So I'm going to start with the letters H and A, and I have mixed up my chalk paste so that it's about like yogurt. You don't want it too thick like cottage cheese, and if it is, you can spray it with our mister, the chalk mister, and you can get just a nice consistency when you stir that up. Okay, then I put it onto my little mini trays with this little tiny stir stick, and then after I've done that step, I put some of this guava on the other one. I grab a mini squeegee, or the medium is the next one, and I can use those to put the paste on. So I'm going to start with the bark color, the brown, and I'm just going to work that over top of the stencil. So you see it's just going to cover easy and fairly quick. Anybody can do this. If you get too much, see how I'm just spreading it over? You can move it so that it doesn't take much to go through these stencils. They're such high quality silkscreen. And I did a lot of art training to be a teacher, and we, in part of my art training in college and university, and even some of my high school classes, did silkscreen printing, and I loved it, but I'm quite impressed by these high quality stencils that Couture has come out with for just anybody to be able to chalk and decorate. Okay, so that's all there is to the H, and when you think you've got enough on it, you just peel that up, and look at how nicely that has gone on to the board. So then I take it, and I'm just going to show you here, put it in a water bath so that that can soak. You don't want to leave it in there too long. We find that then they might not last as well, but leave it for a few minutes while maybe I do the next letter, and then I'll wash and dry those up. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the letter A. So I have this pouch. It's like a pencil case holder, and I keep my pens, my little squeegees, and my medium-sized ones in here. So I'm just going to see if I've got another medium one in here, but it doesn't look like I do. So I might have to go over to my other bag. We also have these magic erasers. They work really well for cleaning off the stencil after, but I discovered you cannot use the Lysol wipe type because of having the Lysol, or the Mr. Clean ones. They have Mr. Clean in, and that can wreck our stencils. So you want to use the Couture ones that they're foam. You do go through them eventually because they wear down, but there's no chemicals in that, so you just wet them and you can scrub your stencil. So I'm going to paste up the next one here. I just have to grab off camera another bigger squeegee, and then we'll be good to go. Seeing my bigger squeegees. I had a few. Okay, so I will just wash off this brown one and reuse it for now, but I know I should have more than one, but maybe I didn't. If I don't, then I'll have to get more. I know the little ones are sold in a pack of 10, and I thought the bigger ones I got a few, but maybe I didn't, because at the time I was using mostly little. But for these bigger designs, it really helps to have a larger one. Now, in the time that I put this out quick and got everything set up to show you this, I'm finding that this one got a little bit thicker, like a skin, on the paste, so then I just sprayed it again with my mister so it'll spread easy. So now I'm going to do the guava color next. And these would make a really nice decoration on our front porches for the fall. And then if you don't put a shellac or a seal over them, you can just wash them off, is the nice thing about Chalk Couture, and then you could redo it with some other design. I'm thinking what I'll do is have Harvest on the front and maybe a welcome or a Halloween one on the back. So you can, you know, have it work for more than one purpose, which is handy too. So that's how fast it takes, like 5 minutes or less once you get all ready. And then you just do your peel and reveal. So you peel this up and you can see how nicely that has chalked on there. Now if I miss an area, or because this board is a little rough, it looks like it didn't quite go into this and I've got a bit of bleed there. So not a problem, I can fix that. I can take it off here if I dampen this little chalk eraser. I can just take that outer part off gently and try not to smear my letter. And then it's gone, so that'll just dry and you won't see that. It's okay to have some imperfections, that's part of art. However, if it's bugging you enough that you want to fix it a little more, oh, I know, I probably put them in my tin of tools. Nope, not my large ones, but I do have this I chalked in the summer, and it says Imagine and Inspire on a can that I found at one of the thrift shops, and it just needed a bit of repaint, so I gave it a decoration on the side there. And when the letters kind of didn't go as best on the rough part here, I just made it look sponged so that it had that artistic look like I wanted that. So that's what you can do sometimes, so that's fun. So in here I have all some of my taller tools, so I can make use of probably this one that has a dual end on it. One end is kind of like a chisel, and this end is kind of round, but also if you pull that off, there's a little pointy part. So I'm thinking I could probably take the point or this little chisel end, dip in some of my paint. You could also use probably a small fine paintbrush for this, and then just wipe paint a little into that spot. Would be easier than trying to put your stencil back on, because this was a rough spot of the wood. So then that works in there quite well. So while that's drying, I'm going to put the next one on. This one is the R for Harvest. So on this one, again, I'm going to write on the back that says Harvest R. And then I'm going to fuzz it. So I'm going to move these over. I can put that into the water and just wipe off that one tool a little bit because it didn't get much. Okay, and then I'm going to fuzz my letter R. So I lay it on my defuzzing cloth, and you can see I've used this one quite a bit. You can wash them and then hang them to dry, but they still work. So now if that other letter was still there, I'm thinking it would come to there. I should have marked it with a pencil. And then I overlapped, so then this one would come to here. So if I want to overlap this one, I'm probably going to go about there. So I just want to make sure that the letter is on here okay. And then I just press this down. I'll just turn the camera a little. And I think it's showing backwards. That's what I was finding. I don't know if mine will flip though. So I might have to move it to this side. So that you can see my R. I'm not sure if that's going to show you the right angle. Okay. Well, I'm learning how to do this camera stuff too, so I may have to... Oops, and then I dropped it. Use a different tripod system, but I thought this one was going to work. So you can get the idea. I'll carry on. And this one I'm going to do the brown again, so I'm alternating colors. So I can use the little squeegee if I want. It's just takes a few more strokes where the big one can cover faster. So again, I'm adding brown. Now the brown, as it dries, I'm seeing on this darker wood, because it's treated, is not showing up as much as maybe the guava. However, I can go back and outline that if I wanted, maybe with a bright color or a dark Sharpie. So there's always ways to pop it out. And because I love to do calligraphy, I learn a lot of that stuff through my lettering courses I've taken, and how we can really make things pop. So I'm adding the brown, and it's getting a bit thick, so I'm just going to spritz a little water in there, because you want to work fairly quickly, but because I was setting this up to show, and you want it to line up when you're working on a bigger project, then sometimes it sits a bit more than you might have liked, so you just have to keep adding a bit of water to it. Now see, I can go back, go over, clean off some of that excess, make sure it's gotten into all the little corners of the letter. And if I do my peel and reveal and I've missed some, I can just put this stencil back down and do it again. So here I go. Here comes the R in Harvest. Oh, those look really nice. Okay, so I'm letting these sit in the water bath. I'm going to turn this now to the water bath and show you how I clean these with this magic eraser. So we'll start with our letter H. If I flip it over and I just wipe across the top of that stencil, it makes all that come off. And then I do the same on the A, which is already, the paste is dissolving what was left on there. And I wipe across that one, because we want to keep our stencils clean, and they will work for quite a few uses. I think they might have said 8 to 10 or 10 to 12 times you can reuse a stencil. Then you take it and put it back on your fuzzing mat, face down, and let that air dry. I sometimes like to just gently go over the excess. And then once those are dry, they can go back onto that backing paper that it was on. So these will stick to the shiny side. And because they have been cleaned and let air dry, they should end up being tacky again. So that's kind of how you get them back to that tacky, being ready to use again. Okay, so now I'm just wiping off this R, and then I'll be ready to show you the letter V. Okay, so that one's done. These are still gonna dry. So I think what I'll do is get out my other fuzzing mat, because I have two. Then one can have them drying, and one can have the wet ones. Okay, so I'm going to put this one up here, this one up here, and the R up here. And then these can just dry. And I guess the thing with an A and an H is they're symmetrical front and back and side to side. So they show up in the screen the right direction when I was showing you. However, the R isn't symmetrical, so that's why we have to adjust the camera to make it look the right way. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is the letter V. Sorry, dropped the camera again. I got this little Moby Frotto at London Drugs, thinking it would help me to do these videos. And it does, but I think I might have to figure out something even better. But it's a learning curve. So we peel off the stencil. This is the letter V. Stick it to our mat a couple times. Lay it down, smooth it out. And then lay it where we want onto our board. So I'm just gonna lift this up again. Sorry everybody that's watching this, or when you do get a chance. So I'm going to check where the R would be. Say this was the page. I want to go just above it by about a ½ inch, because I'm trying to make it so when I get to the other end, my T is going to be up from the bottom about the same distance the H was. Okay, so this is my letter V. And so again, I write on the back side, make sure shiny is down. I write harvest, so I know which stencil I'm putting back on this backing paper. So this is for the letter V later, okay? So now I'm ready to switch back to my papaya color. I'm gonna dry my little chalk squeegee. And I'm ready to go. And I'll just turn this a little more this way. And so I'm ready to chalk the V. These would be nice just used if you knew someone that had this initial for a monogram. You could use this nice stylized lettering for their initial for something. We also, Couture also sells larger ones for that. So if you were wanting to do up someone's initial, you could. So I'm just going to squeegee that down and across. and take the excess. So now I'm ready to peel and reveal my V. Little slight bleeding here, but not bad. It can be left. Sometimes that happens. Looks like I might have just missed a little in the bottom of the V. So what I would do is put a little bit back on my squeegee, go back into that shape that's at the bottom of the V, and make sure that the ink or the paste got through that stencil there. Then I lift up again and it looks like it got it. Okay, so there are some decorative spots on these stencils to give it kind of the look of decoration, or holes, because it gives it that look on the wood or the whatever you're putting it on. So then I put this letter into my water bath and let it soak while I go on to the letter E. So I'm going to pull the board up this way now, and then you'll be able to see I'm working on the letter E now. Again, because E is not symmetrical, it's not going to show the right direction in the camera. So I'm going to peel off this one. Lay it down on the mat. Stick it down a couple times. And then I'm going to put it onto here. So I wanted to check whereabouts this one was. And then lay my E on. Now I probably should have marked these, but I can also eyeball pretty good from my art background. So if I thought they're going to be too close together, so I've got probably about a 2-inch space between them. If I thought it was going to be too close, I can move them down a little. Okay, and then on this one I write Harvest E. Just because if you get doing a lot of different ones and soaking them, you might forget which goes on what, and you might put it on the wrong side of the paper, and it won't come off as easy if you don't put it back to the shiny side. Okay, so now I'm ready. I've gone brown, guava, brown, or bark, guava, bark, guava. So I'm on to bark again. So you see I'm doing a bit of a pattern of alternating the colors. And I do see as these dry, I'm going to need to highlight the brown a little more. Joanne was working my upline on a board today with welcome using black and then putting the pumpkin in between. So if you're using black on pine or on this, black shows up great, really stands out. And she said she noticed that if you're trying to, you know, get it to stand out from afar, the darker the better, so, or the brighter, right? So this brown on this, I didn't anticipate it being quite like blending in quite so much, but I still like the two colors together, so I will highlight it afterwards. I could put a white border around or a black, so I'll think on that as I'm doing. But now I've got my E done, so I'm ready to do peel and reveal. And as I pull that up, looks like it's gone on there really nicely. I missed just a little bit on the tail end of this bottom line on the E, so I just coat that again and I got it. Okay, that's how quick and easy it is to fix. put that in the water bath over here and let the E soak. Now I'm ready to work on the S. So again, I'm going to mark where that one was. If this was my letter E, I want to move this up to about the 1/2 inch overlap, or a little bit. I think that's going to work just fine. Yeah, I can move just right there, and that one will come up to there. So I'm going to peel off the S, lay it on my mat a couple times to defuzz it, or to fuzz it, I guess. I don't know if I'm defuzzing. I'm just trying to make it so it peels off better. Then I'm going to mark where this page was, and that's where I want to lay my letter S. Now, let's see here. I've got them pretty much with space more to the left. And I'm working on a video, so this one will be papaya I'm doing next again. So I'm going to get back to my orange. If you can see, no, I gotta move my camera. I forgot to write on that last one, so I will do that after. But I'm just gonna angle this so you can see I'm doing papaya now again. And I'm going to spritz it because it's getting thick. And this is the second last letter of my harvest board. So now I just want to work quickly before this paste dries too much. Squeegee that on. It's just about done. See how fast and easy anybody can do this. And when I do my peel and reveal, I'm taking off the excess. You will see my letter S. Ta-da! That one went really well. Throw it into the water bath. I'll clean those in a minute. Back to here, and I have one more letter. So now I'm on to the letter T. I'm going to move this up just a little more so you can see my letter T. My son's laughing at me, but that's okay. Oh, and then I dropped the phone again to give him something to laugh at. So what we do is this letter is also, this one's also symmetrical. So again, it should show up properly, I think, for you in the camera. So now I'm going to just fuzz the T. So I want to lay that one onto the fuzzing mat. Lay it down twice. So I'm going to show you. I put it down on here again. And then I lift it off. And I'm going to, whoops. Yeah, I think these need to be really weighted, I see, for this procedure. Again, I'll write on that piece of paper after. So I'm just going to move this up to where I want the letter T to be. Probably right about there. If I have a little extra space at the bottom, that's good, because then I can do a little more decorating. Because I didn't allow for much extra width on this, it's going to be kind of snug for my decorating. But I'll show you that with my creativity, I can figure that out and still put some decorating around it. Okay, so now I need my brown again, and I only have this much left, but I want to show you how far it goes. So I bet you that might do me. If it doesn't, I can go back to my little paste container to the right of me and put more in. Look at how far that's going. So it really doesn't take much. That amount that I put on this little tray has lasted me for the whole board for the brown letters for bark, for the harvest word, in the color bark, I mean. Now I scrape off the extra paste so that I don't have to waste much, because you can put that back if it didn't get too thick into your container. So I didn't have much left over. So now I'm ready to do a peel and reveal of the tea. And look at how nice that shows up. Now if they stayed the color that I see now, it would show up, but unfortunately it's drying on the board and it's going lighter. So I'm going to show you what happened. I'll put that in the water bath. When I move this back here and I show you what my E looks like from this one to the R, I guess in the camera it looks dark, but to me they're much lighter when they dry. I don't know if you can tell. So I'm going to have to outline those to make them pop, but I can do it. So thanks for watching. I'm going to add a few little pumpkin things around it. If you want to stay and watch that, feel free. And I'll put these on the backing. So I need to write, I think I left off at the letter S. So I write on the back side that's not glossy, Harvest S. And then I'll put Harvest T on the other one. That way I know to get it back on the right side of the backing paper. And then it's time for me to clean those other stencils before they've been in the water bath too long. So I'm going to do that real fast. So I'll turn the camera this way and you can watch me do the clean. So I'm going to go back to the V was the first one I put in. They say now that if we leave them in the water bath too long, it might wreck the stencil eventually. A few minutes is fine, but we don't want to leave it like hours and hours or overnight. So I'll show you, I'm just cleaning the top, laying it back on this to dry. And then, what would be better?
The video quality better if you use your rear facing camera, not your front facing.
Yeah. So I've got a V, and then my next one I'm going to clean off is the E.
When you're pointing the camera.
It has a little automatic thing, but I have to figure that out. That's okay, he disappeared now. My son. Okay, so I'm pleased with that. It looks really nice, but I'm going to try and add a few little decorative things around it. There's leaves, there's a pumpkin that came with this Harvest transfer stencil, but because my board isn't super wide past the letters, there's not much room to decorate. So I could leave it the way it is, but I'm gonna just try and add a little more to show you. So my other letters are ready to put back on the backing paper. They've sat and dried. So I'm just gonna show you. If I take my letter H page, so this one says letter H. Can you see that? Let's see here. Harvest H. I don't know. So then I'm going to put it onto here, because would I have to hold it? Yeah, I couldn't seem to get it to work, but maybe I'll get you to help me. Okay, so I'm just going to lay this back onto the backing paper like this. And you can see it sticking again already. So that's all you do, and then that just keeps that in good condition for the next time you want to use it. The next one that's ready and dry is my A. So I'm going to put it next onto this one. And it looks to me already like I might have mixed these up. And do you want to know why? Because there's an extra strip of white beside this H, and there's not enough by the A. So I could trade these around. That's why it's so critical, sort of. I mean, it's not critical, but to try to get them on their right piece of paper they came off of. So this one was just a little narrower. That fits better. And this one here, make sure that was shiny, was a little bit wider for the letter H. So that's probably why it didn't quite fit on that one. It had some space when the A was on the H paper. Okay, so what I would do then is just change the back of those, and then next time I'll be more careful. So make this one an A and make this one say H. And then I know which goes where. So H, A, and then I should have an R next. Is dry, goes on this one. And then my V is still drying, my E is still drying, and I'm ready to clean off my letter T. So it's really good to do all this while you're working. Or sorry, the next letter was S, E, S, T. Okay, E's drying, so it's S next, and then I'll do the T. I'm just wiping off any chalk that got on the stencil. And then I'm going to lay that down to dry. And I usually wipe it again a little bit just to take the excess, and sometimes it misses a little bit of the paint specks, or the paste specks. So the T looks pretty good, but this will just take off some of that brown that was on there. Now the dark colors like black, maybe even dark blues, probably even some purples. Some of them will stain your stencil, but they'll still work. So you still clean it, but just know that after some use, they're probably going to look like you've used them. Okay, so then I'm going to lay these to dry. And I'm going to plan out now what I want for my decorations on here. Okay, so I've got H-A-R-V-E-S-T. I'm just going to pan that for you to see. So if I go this way, there's H, there's A, there's R, there's the E, or the V, the E, the S, and the T. Now I have room to put a little bit around them, not much, but a little. So what I'm going to do is, this one came with some leaves and a pumpkin. So here's the pumpkin. I don't really have room for that on this particular one, so I can use it on another one. I have these kind of little leaves that are kind of round, wispy I call them. And then I have some that are more solid leaf look. So I am thinking probably these little guys, oh, and there's this one, would fit much better on the board that I have because I don't have a lot of extra room. So I'm going to get some green. We have a lovely green color. Before I do that, I'm going to put this brown back in here. So I just scrape off the excess into my paste container, and then I put my squeegee and little tray into the water bath so it can soften that paste for cleanup. And then I just can stir this a bit, pull it off the edges and close it up. Now, if I got a lot on the container on the outside, my upline Joanna's shown us you can just clean those really well on the edges if you need to. Okay, so then that one's done. And then I just have guava. So again, I'm going to scrape off any excess, put this in the water bath, and put the rest of that back in. Because we can soften it with the mister, so, you know, you might not want to mix it all down in, but at least if it's in there, it might still be able to be used again. So you can get a lot out of these containers. Okay, so now I'm going to jump away from the camera for a minute and look for my green paste, because I think I would like to use the green on that leaf. I think we'll use the one I saw Joanne using today. It's a shimmer olive, so it'll give it a little bit of a shine. This is one of the new fall ones, and it's quite pretty. So I'm going to get another little tray and another little stir stick, and that one looks really nice and new. Could have a little bit of water though spritzed in because it's nice and thick, but you want to maybe soften it up a little. It's been sitting, so I'm just gonna give it a couple spritzes. Yeah, that one's got a nice feel to it. And then I get another little squeegee. So this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'll move my letter T here so you can see. I'm gonna lay it on my fuzzing cloth, lift it up again, and then I'm just gonna add it in a few places around my, and this has had time to dry, so that's good because then it won't peel off anything as I'm working, hopefully. But you can also blow dry. I should blow dry these after, and that's another way to know that they're gonna stay without coming off. So this, I'm gonna just add a little shimmer leaf there and pick that up, and look at how nice that looks. And then I can just lay it down again, and maybe I will put one at the bottom of the H. So I just want to be able to put them wherever I like and make it look kind of harvesty. So I think I've got one down, one up. I might go from the side here just to change where it's at. And I can even put this one over the side a little so it looks like it's wrapping around the board. That adds interest. And then I think I'll go down to my letter V next. So I'm gonna put one out here coming down from the V. So this one's working quite well, and I don't really have to wash in between, but sometimes you would with a bigger stencil or if it gets kind of clogged. But if it's working as well as this one, I can just keep going. So now I'm gonna put one maybe at the top here of the E. I'm just trying to alternate up and down, and I might go back and add some more, but right now I'm just putting one per letter. And now I'm on to the letter S. So I'll just move the camera. On this one, I think I'll put it maybe just off to the side and over the board here, so it'll wrap around the edge. And then I just peel that up. And the T, I could go at the top or lower. I think I'm gonna go a little lower this time and just put one here. Now what I've learned through my art is, well, one, less is more. Two, angles add interest. And three, odd numbers are good. So right now I have one leaf on each. If I decide to add two on some, I might have to make it three to, so I'm thinking this letter S needs one up here. So when you have a lot of space to decorate, or little spaces like this, I could do two there, but I could also fit one down here. And then that letter has three little leaves coming off it. Now that one came off, but it didn't quite get the other side, so I'm just gonna try, see if I can get enough ink. There we go, I matched it up, but if it didn't, it would have kind of moved and overlapped. Now I can add maybe one to the top of the T. So I'm gonna bring my shimmer paste here. And I think maybe one way down the bottom where there's kind of a knot of wood, and so I could go over top of that right at the bottom of the T to add the third one there, and it helps to kind of cover up that knot. So I'm kind of liking 3 on them. One was okay, but maybe didn't fill in the spaces quite enough. So this one I'm going to add one more here, the bottom of the E. And that one didn't quite catch. You can almost see where it didn't catch the ink, which is good, and lay it back down and then put a little more back on. Yeah, and I got it pretty good. Okay, then I'm going to put one, I think, sort of near the center off to the edge. I like running things over the edge because then it takes your eye past the design and out. So that can be quite interesting too. Okay, I'm back here at the V, and I've decided maybe one up top here. I'll run it off the side slightly. And then I think I'm going to put one maybe coming down from the side and over to the edge, because I still have room to do the R. I could have gone up there or into the middle, but I think that's going to be all right. So now I'm going to add some more to the R and the A and the H. So I'm going to move my board up here, and you can watch me with my paste. I think I'll put maybe one coming to the middle of the R, angled down, because there's a spot there that kind of would work. Yeah, that was nice. I missed the tip of that one just a little, so I'm going to go back and just get the tip. And then maybe top right. Yeah, I'm liking the 3 on there. It kind of gives it more of a fall look, and it fills up some spaces. Gives it more of the harvest look, I guess. So this one I'm going to put it kind of in the middle, going up off the side of the A. And then I think I'll take one pointing down to the R. So it can be however you want, but there are ways to kind of guide it so that you're getting some areas without having too much or too much going the same direction. Now, see, that one overlapped and kind of moved a little, but I can fix that with my tool, so I'm just going to leave it. I could leave it anyway. We say it doesn't have to be perfect, but of course sometimes we want it to look a certain way. This one I think I'm going to put in the middle of the H because there's not that much room on the sides. So I'm just going to squeegee that. It's starting to probably get clogged, and it might have been good for me to, oh, I forgot to turn the camera. Might have been good for me to wash this stencil. Oh, it's still working. And then I'm just gonna put one more, I think kind of angling toward the right side of the A at the bottom there, because these two sides of the H don't have a lot of extra space, so they definitely would wrap around the board. And there we have it. It looks pretty good, I think, with 3 leaves per letter. So that's what you can do. Then this goes in the water bath, and that just gives it a little more of a harvesty look when there wasn't quite room for the pumpkin. However, I'm thinking I'm just gonna look at that pumpkin again. I might have room to put a little bit of it going off the bottom, and you could still tell that that's a pumpkin. So I think I will add it now that I have extra room at the bottom, and I'll just run it off the bottom so you'll know it's a pumpkin. You just won't see the whole thing. And I'll wrap it around the corner. So those are things you can do sometimes to add to it. Now I forgot to fuzz this one, so I'm gonna have to lay it on this fuzzing cloth because I was too busy showing you. Fuzz it a bit and then put it back where I had it here. And then I think if that just went on that edge and off with papaya and olive green stem, I think that would look really sharp. So I'm gonna go back to some papaya, and I can just clean that little stick off that I was using for stirring. And use that one in there. I can do the stem right now because I've still got some green shimmer left. So I'm going to bring you back down here and just show you what I would do on this one. Can you see? Oh, let's see. I'm almost running out of space there. Okay, so let's see how that looks. Can you see my... Nope, there went the camera. That's because I'm learning. Okay, these little tripods, I guess, aren't quite strong enough. So I'm going to show you here how I do this pumpkin right on this edge. So I'm just going to squeegee the stem green with green shimmer and that little twirly leaf, and then the rest is all going to be the pumpkin papaya color. So that should show up some green there. And now I'm going to use that big squeegee that I had used before and just take it right out of here this time, because I had some, and I'm just gonna go on top of this with my large squeegee and papaya, and I'll have just a part of a pumpkin at the very bottom of this board, just because there wasn't much room width-wise to do a lot of extra design, but that'll give you the idea without having the whole pumpkin on there. So there's lots of ways you can use these. I could even use some of the little Halloween ones if I wanted something smaller, but this is another way to use part of something and it adds interest. Now it looks like I went over this by accident and got orange onto my green. So I'm just gonna go back here. I wiped a little off, add a little more green into that so that hopefully it shows more green than orange. You can do that to blend things and they call it ombre, but I was wanting that green. So now I'm going to lift this gently, do a peel and reveal and just see how that's looking. And that worked pretty good. So if I think I didn't get enough right at this edge, oh yeah, that was supposed to probably be the splits of it, and then it's the board that's there kind of thick. So I can just go over that. Yeah, that looks quite good. And I kind of like that. It just gives it that finished harvest pumpkin look at the bottom. So there you go, that's what you can do. So this was one of our larger transfers. It came in the big transfer pack, so it's an E size transfer. So it has more options, versatility to use, and I believe the E size ones are 32, I want to think, in the catalog, $32.99 maybe. So I'll just have a quick look and show you. This is the fall one because I'm not finding it quick. Sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, the E size, they go A, B, C, D, and E size. So for an E size, they're 18 by 24 inch transfer. And $52.99. You can get those usually for a better price when we have specials, or sometimes if you were a Club Couture VIP customer, then they'll offer you specials that way. So yeah, if you want to know any more about it, just check out Artist-Vivian, Chalk Couture, my Facebook page, Calligraphic Artworks by Vivian, and I can tell you more about, but this is my finished harvest board, and I think it turned out great. So I'm going to prop it up and then I'll take a picture and post what it looks like when it's up. And I'll probably outline those brown letters just so they pop a little more on the brown and show you how I do that. I'm thinking I could go black, but I kind of think because this has popped in a nice bright shade, the papaya, I might go white around the brown. And we have chalk pens. So here is one of our chalk couture markers, and I'm going to try that so I could show you quick right now, and then you don't have to watch the whole thing, but it'll give you an idea what it would look like when I do a letter, outlining it with the white marker. So I would just, usually you shake them up and down, and then for a few minutes, and then you'd press them a little bit to get them started. So if I just go around this, see how that's gonna pop out this letter? And all I'm gonna do is outline it, but then it's gonna stand out better. So it's just a narrow marker line of white to make that letter show up. So that's what I decided to do, and I think that's gonna look really good. I can go around every little part. Now it's starting to flow better, so you see how it's showing up a little whiter than when I started. And because the leaf is there, I can leave that leaf as part of that. So I just outline all of the brown. And then this is going to really make this design pop on the darker wood. And then it doesn't get lost in the background because the two colors of the treated board are quite similar. So if I just outline this with some white marker, you'll be able to notice it better from afar or driving by, that kind of thing. So there's lots of options. We sell these chalk markers in white and black, and then they came out with silver and gold as well, so I could have used a gold if I wanted. And then you just shake, 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 and outline that. Now if I find, see how it went a little wide there, that's too wide, I can go and take this tool that had the point, so you pull off the end. One end is wedge, one end is a point underneath that lid, and then I can scrape some of this. I might have to let it dry a little more, but I can take that and scrape that off later. So there's lots of ways to fix things if it's blobbing on you or not. See there, now it came too fast, but it shows up better. I do find sometimes these can be tricky to work with because I've used them for calligraphy, and sometimes it works great and sometimes it comes out pretty fast. So it's just trial and error. And it can give you shading, like you can make it, you can on purpose want one area wider to be like a shadow. But if you're trying to just, get this in a narrow area, see now it's going that way again. You might not want it to fill the whole area, but I mean, it's not bad, it's still gonna show up. So if that's what it's wanting to do, I might just let it be and let it fill as a happy accident, because these are pretty narrow for me to go through and keep it narrow. So if I decide to fill those spaces in, no one other than us watching are going to know that that was supposed to be narrow or not, because if I make it all uniform, that's how it's going to look. Okay, so I could do that here, color this part in so that it just works like a highlight. So I think that's probably better on the H and some letters that have that narrow section. When I've got to put two white lines in there, I'll just end up coloring that in. And that's just a blob of a knot in the wood. So sometimes if you daub it a few times, you can fill that in. And then that's not going to show black with the white. So this is just a really nice kind of stylized letter. I believe in our calligraphy we'd probably call these, they're kind of like a Roman, but they're also a bit like a versal letter, because they have areas that can be decorated, and they almost remind you of the kind that you used to see in kids' books at the beginning of a story or Once Upon a Time or something, and they were decorated letters, so they can look really quite fancy. So I'm going to go around this one, and then just show you what that's like, and then I'll do that to every letter that I had that was brown, and then they should show up really nice on my board when I'm finished and stand it outside. So there, see, it wants to kind of blob. I just find that's what these tend to do sometimes, but they can work well if you're careful and not needing too thin of a spot. So there's my letter H. See how much more that pops? So I'm going to go down and do the letter R, the letter E, and the letter T the same way, and then I think that's really going to show up nicely. So, hope you enjoyed my video, and that's my fall harvest board. I will post some links to my Facebook page and my web page, and if you're interested in learning how to do one or getting any of the chalk couture pastes, transfers, catalog, just message me, and or you can order from my website, and I will be in touch. Thanks for watching.